Cheers and welcome to Irondale Brewing. Really excited to brew a Dry Irish Stout today. It's one of my all-time favorite styles of beer. Guinness is the first beer that I had that I actually liked, and it kind of opened my eyes into what beer can be beyond Bud and Bud Light. So a really special place in my beer heart for Guinness. That said, I'm not going to brew a Guinness clone. Guinness is its own thing. The legend I like best about Guinness, whether or not it's true, is that they still have some old wooden barrels from Arthur Guinness's day that they ferment a portion of the beer in, and then they take that beer that probably has Brettanomyces and lactic whatever and who knows what else going on in it from those old wooden barrels, and they mix like 3% into the overall fresher batches to give it that little bit of a sour tinge. If you're interested in learning more about that and some methods for trying that at home, I'll link to a video from Martin Keane where he does that. But I'm just doing a straight up Dry Irish Stout and easy recipe to brew, and it's an easy recipe to remember because roughly the percentages of grains, you want 70% of some base grain. I'm using Maris Otter, about 20% flaked barley to give it that nice thick mouthfeel, and then about 10% roasted barley. And I'll put the actual percentages in the description. You'll see it in the video as well. This is sitting here because roasted barley is a little bit of a unique grain in that it's not malted. It is just roasted at a very high temperature, which leaves it very brittle. And so ideally when you mill it, you want to mill it a bit differently than your base grains. So that's why this is here. This is a Burr coffee grinder. I was going to use this to mill my grains, but the grains I happened to get, don't know if this was my fault or more beers, doesn't matter, were already milled. And when I put some of those through here, it turned them to flour, which you absolutely don't want. So I just went with the mill I had. I'll probably take a run at doing a full-blown milling of roasted barley with that Burr grinder at some point in the future. And then the only other thing I'll say before we get to the brew day footage is I did things a little bit differently in the filming. I had the camera running the whole time. I didn't really like the way it came out. So what I wound up with is some more time-lapse stuff, and you can let me know if you like that or not. So it's a little bit different than some of my other brew day videos. So hope you enjoy it. Let's get mashed in. We are about 1 minute out from the finish of the 15 minutes rest at 120. Wow, that is looking dark and fabulous. I will say I stirred it one, or kind of mixed it around one other time during the 15 minutes. And this, about halfway through, this does seem to help with making the flaked barley feel a little bit less clumpy and gummy. So it makes me feel better. I don't know that it's necessary to do that stuff, but like I said, why not? It's 15 minutes out of your life. 15 more minutes to hang out in the brewery, right? But yeah, that's feeling much better. So maybe that will help once it gets to the mash. You got that stuff, kind of that protein rest may actually be beneficial when you're using flaked barley. All right. Nothing much to say at this point other than let's ramp the heat back up and get it up to 150. I will say also I'm doing the process, or for the Brewzilla for temperature control, I'm not using PID. I'm just using the technique that Dan, fellow BrewTuber, mentioned, where he just sets the hysteresis to 1 degree, cuts the power down to 50%, and that worked great even at 120. It's like it sat at 122-ish in the Bluetooth and like 119 in the built-in. So that I'll take that. That's a good average when you think about the mass of liquid and whatnot. Okay, so that is all mixed up one more time. So we'll ramp the heat back up to full power and set our target temp to, I know you can't see this, only got one camera going, and then we'll set our target temp to our mash temp of 150. All right, we are mashing at 150-ish. I will say now that it's stabilized, it's staying right in there. You know, you can see that the wrapped a Bluetooth thermometer is showing 150, one built-in showing 150, a little bit higher, and that's within the parameters what I want. So I'm probably going to mash for about 15 minutes past when the timer ends on Brewfather, because I think it was a little bit under for about that long, which hopefully won't. I don't think that the roasted barley being on or in there for too low of a temperature is too bad. You know, of course, as it's ramping up, the built-in temperature probe maybe went up to 160 or so on occasion. Hopefully that's not, I think you don't have to really start worrying until you get about above 170. But anyway, so we're going to mash here for an hour. I usually stir periodically during that just to keep things mixed up. But other than it taking a while to get to the mash temp I wanted, things are going pretty well so far. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So in with the 2 ounces of Yeast Kent Goldings. This brew day is flying by. I almost missed my 5 minutes. In fact, just 30 seconds away, throwing the World Flock in there. Do want to make the point that even with dark beers, you want to use some clarifying agents, because a dark beer should still be clear, not muddy. Sounds a little bit strange, but that's the way I like to think about it. Because even though you can't see through it necessarily, you don't want it not clear. Or you do want it clear, it's a better way to put it. Okay, so we'll throw this World Flock in there. And I think that's it until I'm going to grab my Whirlpool arm to help with the chilling. I am behind my sanitizing of the fermenter, but we're getting there. And yeah, things flew by today. Now, this last clip, my microphone failed for some reason. I've never had that happen before, but there was just no audio on the video for this last clip. So basically, at this point, I have reattached the recirculation arm, obviously facing out, since that's a great way. So that's how I do it, to pump the wort into the fermenter. And I don't know, I'll be exactly in sync with the video here, but basically, you'll see me put the fermenter on the floor there in front of the Brewzilla, and then turn the pump on, and it will. It's also a good way to aerate the wort. Some debate on, whether or not you need to aerate for a dry yeast. I found this to work well. I don't know that I need to do more than this. Certainly, I don't get into using using pure oxygen and all that kind of stuff that some people do, which, depending on what you're brewing, higher ABV, liquid yeast might need that more than the dry yeast do. But anyway, that's that beautiful Irish Stout work going into the fermenter there. I think I do crouch down at one point and look at something on the floor, and what that was is I am super paranoid about the spigot on the Fermonster being left open, because you of course want it open when you're sanitizing it, and hasn't happened yet, but I check it probably 50 times before I actually start dumping beer in there. And I do have a couple of closed Fermonsters that I want to put a, meaning no spigot, but that's what I meant by closed, that I wouldn't put a floating dip tube on. I also have a Fermzilla now, but I kind of want to convert a couple of those over to a completely closed fermenter, just because I'm paranoid about leaving that spigot open. And it is, it's one more thing that can fail. That rubber gasket that goes in there, never had it happen, but it could. So maybe one less thing to worry about. And I think the rest of this is just basically watching me fill the fermenter, blasting around on the sides there, a little bit of foam in there from the Star Sand, and then eventually you will see me pitch the Nottingham yeast. One more thing I will say about this as well is I did squeeze the bag this time, so I just left it in the grain basket and kind of pushed down on it while it was, kind of sitting there waiting to come to a boil. And that did get my efficiency up from, I was guessing I'd get 65%, and I actually got up to 70 this time. And I don't think it was solely because of that little bit of extra mash time I did. Most conventional wisdom is about, hit 45 minutes, and that's about all you're going to get out of your grains for the most part. So I think that little bit of extra squeezing of the bag helped. So I got 70%, and I also hit exactly, for just judging by the fact that it was equidistant on the Fermonster between the 5 gallon and the 6 gallon mark. I hit exactly 5.5 gallons. So that was another good thing that happened this brew day, because I've been getting in the ballpark, but I think I've only had about one other batch where I hit it that exactly. So overall, squeezing the bag helped with the efficiency a little bit. That does mean this beer will come in a little bit higher at about 4.7 ABV instead of 4.3. I think it was a good idea to squeeze a little bit. I will definitely be doing that on future batches. And here you see me taking a little bit of a sample to put into my digital refractometer. Came out to be 12 bricks, so a little bit higher than I was shooting for. That translates to 1048 original gravity instead of the 1044 I was shooting for. But again, got a little bit higher efficiency, so that was to be expected. That means the ABV will come in at 4.7 instead of the 4.3 I was shooting for, but I will take it. That is in the ballpark. And it takes a while to get processes and getting used to your equipment and all that stuff dialed in. I think every batch I get a little bit closer, so that's all you can hope for. And this one was a win in a lot of ways. So you'll keep our fingers crossed that the fermentation goes well, and we end up with a good product to serve on nitro. And switching my phone camera because I think I need a different lens on that other camera. It's not conducive to the shots I tend to want to take. Anyway, there is the stout in the fermenter. 12 bricks turns out to be 1048 specific gravity, which is about 4 points higher, giving me an efficiency of 70 instead of my usually 62 to 65. So that's good. I think that squeeze into the bag a little bit made a difference. Or, who knows? I'll try that again next time, and if I get consistent numbers, there's so many variables in any batch, you don't ever know for sure. But and then the green pill is in there. I will put a screenshot up of weird things I'm seeing on the Wrapped portal, mostly to remind myself to ask Kegland about it, because if you switch to Freedom units instead of metric, it tends to show you, I'm getting out of frame there. It tends to show you the correct
Celsius number, but with an F after it. So it's a little disconcerting to see 18, F, when you know it's more like 65 or whatever that conversion is. So anyway, there it will sit for 14 days. I will maybe record a couple updates. And then the other exciting thing, I can't remember if I mentioned or not, is I'm going to serve this on nitro when it's done. I got a couple of canisters of beer gas and a nitro spout that I'll have to put on my kegerator, and I'm really excited for that as well. But overall, pretty low-key brew day today. That's, like I said, easy grain bill, easy hop, easy everything. Other than, making sure that the flake barley doesn't wad up on you. It's a great style to make. It's pretty easy. I'd say, even if you're, or I'd say this is an ideal style for a beginner, because it's a pretty easy grain bill if you want to, give it a shot. And I love Dry Irish Stout. Again, not trying to make a Guinness clone, but I think this is going to turn out to be a great beer if how the brew day went is any indication. So we'll see you for the tasting. And I'll show you some camera footage. This will hopefully tie in. Well, that's a reminder to put the star sand in after the water, not before. But kind of neat.